So let's take a look at briefly some studies. What are some of the studies that show us this business about extrinsic rewards maybe reducing our intrinsic motivation? So the first one we're going to look at is Deci. So he's part of Deci and Ryan, and in the 70s they did these Soma puzzles, these puzzles that made us, think and do different types of cognitive exercises like Rubik's Cubes, so those types of puzzles. And so what they did is that they had people play with the puzzles, and half of them were paid to play with the puzzles and half were not. Of course, the groups did not know that the other group had a different compensation, or rather no compensation. And then they brought them back in, as we've seen in other types of experiments, and they spent the same amount of time with the Soma puzzles. And they also had some magazines. So there were some magazines sitting there, and they had the puzzles sitting there. They brought them back in. They left them alone in a room. And the people that were paid previously to come in and play with the puzzles, they picked them up, but they, on average, only played with them for, minute and a half or so, 106 seconds. The people who were not paid originally to play with the puzzles, even though they also had the same array of interesting magazines and were just sitting in this room, they actually played with them for 206 seconds, and that's quite a bit longer. That's, 3 minutes? 3.5 minutes, something? Oh no, I'm going to do math now. All right. A couple of other scientists, Lepper and Green, were curious if this was a learned behavior, somehow more of a nurture quality of human behavior, or if it was more of a nature, something that was also seen in children. That maybe we are just motivated by nature in different ways, if you will. So they went to a nursery school and they had all of the kids draw pictures. And they told one group that they would receive a good player certificate at the end. So they would all receive a certificate, and they had them draw the pictures. And then there was another group that was not told that they were going to receive this reward for drawing. But all of the children were given the reward. So we can rest easy. This isn't one of those horrible psychological torture studies rather. So this is what happened. A week later, they came back in and they let them have the same opportunity to draw. They put out the same materials and gave the kids a chance to do it if they wanted to. And they said nothing about rewards. So the group of kids who originally were told in the beginning that they were going to receive a reward, they were significantly less motivated because there was no reward mentioned or discussed. But the kids who didn't expect a reward the first time, they got one, but they didn't expect it. They played for the same amount of time. So again, we see that perhaps this is something that is kind of a natural component of our own psychology for one reason or another.